Mary Louise Booth was an extraordinary 19th century woman. She was an author, editor, translator, an abolitionist, a suffragist. Her ancestors came from England in the mid-1600s and settled on the east end of Long Island. And in the early 1830s, her parents moved to the small rural hamlet called Millville, where they stayed for 15 years. Mary Louise was the eldest of their 4 children, and her father was the local school headmaster, and he also ran the woolen mill. She was a gifted child. She attended 2 academies in Long Island before they moved to Brooklyn in 1845, where she studied at a French academy. She was with Susan B. Anthony as secretary of the Women's Rights Convention in 1855, and she then went on to write the first history of the city of New York, which was published in 1859. As she became more independent from her family, she moved from Brooklyn to Manhattan, and she worked for Dr. Marion J. Sims, becoming friends also with the Blackwell sisters, who started the first women's infirmary and medical college for women doctors in New York. She worked with the leading suffragists and abolitionists of her day, translated over 40 books in 7 different languages, and started writing for the New York Times. When the Civil War broke out, she was asked to go to Washington, where she wrote for the Union cause, and she worked with Secretary of State Seward, Secretary of War Stanton, and President Lincoln. Her circle of friends and influence was growing when she became the founding editor of Harper's Bazaar magazine in 1867, and she reigned there until her death in 1889. The writers, artists, and statesmen she worked with called her the Duchess, and they included Dr. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Louisa May Alcott, Winslow Homer, and poet John Greenleaf Whittier. She entertained them all at her legendary Saturday evening salons at her townhouse at Park Avenue and 59th Street. She took a 6-month trip to Europe to visit Paris and London and met those she'd become friends with and had corresponded with for years, and then put together her French authors and the sculptor Bartholdi in Paris with the Statue of Liberty Committee in the United States. She knew everyone who was anyone in the 19th century, and when she wrote Believe Me, Mary L. Booth, people wanted to hear what she had to say.